Ryback Show starts now. Welcome to the Ryback Show. I am your host, the big guy Ryback. Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. We are streaming live on Instagram and TikTok, the big guy Ryback22. Thank you to those of you joining the live stream. Swing on over here to YouTube, Ryback TV, where you are the co-host of the show. The ebb and flow of the show goes where your questions goes: health, fitness, supplementation, pro sports, pro wrestling, or anything and everything in between. Super chats are always greatly appreciated and brought up on the screen here, and we are available on all podcast platforms. Guys, iTunes reviews are always greatly appreciated. If you've got a moment to leave an iTunes review, thank you very much on that. And we're also here. What are we on? Twitter today at Ryback and Facebook at Ryback Reeves. I've not done Twitch in a while since we weren't really doing anything. They're actually getting, in the grand scheme of things, even though Twitter is heavily suppressed and shadow banned, still helps to get a bit of views for the show over there. And then hopefully some of you who are watching this on Twitter do subscribe to Ryback TV on YouTube and join along with the live show, or add the audio, the Ryback Show, to your podcast list. And then also let me know if you get the notifications on that for the audio. That would be good to know even further, even though I know, because I'm not getting them most of the time. So, but if you want to help the cause, greatly appreciated. This podcast is brought to you by Feed Me More Nutrition, my premium supplement line sweetened with stevia and monk fruit, no harmful artificial sweeteners or colors, vegan friendly for men and women, he, she, and thee. FeedMeMore.com. New customers can save 30% discount code Ryback30. Returning customers can save 20% discount code FEEDME20, and you get a free bottle of our 2-Sweet Blood Sugar Support Formula with all orders. Just click it when it pops up on the screen, the free gift, and it's yours. All that is in the description here on YouTube and will be in the comments after the show, and also on the podcast audio. It's in the description on that as well. All righty then. Off to a great start this week. We are doing some business stuff with Amazon, with Feed Me More Nutrition, working on a couple programs for some of the supplements there to start pushing them a little further on the platform. And so we're gonna ramp that up. And then I got to look into getting more of the supplements added back onto Amazon, as we only have a handful of them right now. And I'd like to get that protein up and running with that as well. So I got to have a conversation about that in a while. But another training day. Yesterday was a great training day. Great day of scar tissue breakup again on the right shoulder, and just continuing to implement the game plan and go by how I'm feeling, and pushing and continuing to get one step closer, waiting for that trademark, the documentation in a month, 6 weeks. It could show up any day at this point. It could show up tomorrow. Like once we've got past that last part, this trademark, at any point in time. Typically, my attorney's pretty good at ballparking this stuff, and he's never been off. So I would trust when he says, and when he says it no later than June. That would be way, like, that was the worst case scenario, but it's most likely, hopefully, was within the 4 to 6 week range, if not before that, and then go from there. And that's all I can only control what I can do right now up until I get that document. I got the other things I'm getting in line, getting in order, mapping some things out, and then we'll proceed on the physical end of things once this all is all out of the way. But we're in the final stages, hopefully. Good to see all of you. Appreciate all the love and support. We had I did watch a decent amount of Raw last night. Hello, we're gonna go ahead and just throw we're gonna shell shock him out of here. Thank you though for the love and support. Wasn't bad. You're just spamming the chat. Hello from Atlanta. I lived in McDonough, Georgia for a year. Welcome to the Ryback Show. I miss being 23, 24 years old. I remember driving around in my silver Nissan Titan truck that I'd gotten right before I moved out to Atlanta, and then a year of hell in Deep South Wrestling, and I mean that. But it was also an amazing time of going through of life and being out on my own and away from long ways from home, and my start into the wacky, crazy, exciting, amazing world of professional wrestling. Super chats coming in. Here we go. Thank you very much, Project Brainchild. Hope you're having a great day. What's up, big guy? Do you prefer to call a match in the ring, or do you go over it beforehand? Also, will you give my YouTube channel a shout out? Seeing yours inspired me to start my own. Congratulations, buddy. Yep, that's Project Brainchild here, as everybody could see on the screen and listening on that. Congratulations on starting a YouTube. And I honestly believe if you like, I just think this stuff is beneficial for all of us as time goes on, and is why I'm so vocal about getting mine corrected with all the hard work I've done to grow it and to get it, and to be disconnected from a big part of my audience is really very, very upsetting, infuriating, motivating at the same odd, weird way, because it's. But I'm very grateful for the good people who are able to see and do watch. So thank you, and I wish you the best of luck in your channel, and just do what you enjoy, and it makes it a lot easier and enjoyable, and just go one day at a time with all of that. As far as calling a match in the ring, or going over it beforehand, so most of the stuff is talked about to a pretty large degree, specifically for television and pay-per-view. And you have to keep in mind, you're working in WWE. This is all I could speak about as far as from, and I've done independent shows that are filming, but they're nowhere near the production level. It's usually, they might have some handheld cams. They might even have a kind of a hard cam, but it's not really, it's not the same deal. It just, as far as what it all entails, and how important certain things are, and when they need to get certain facial shots, or need to know certain things are going on in the match storyline wise, that maybe from Vince or someone in the production truck like Kevin Dunn. So they have to have a pretty good idea, A to Z, of what your match is. Now, not every little thing in there, but a good portion of it. And I'm not kidding. The producers, and this used to be really kind of, I don't want to say frustrating, because it did help you also when you did recite the match back to them, that and then these producers, and like, I'm especially to a lot of the main event stuff. Michael Hayes used to like to write everything, but and he would, and because he would go back, and they do this so that when Vince and them are watching, if something happens in the match that for whatever reason Vince gets upset or didn't want, or something, they then have an idea of what was going on, and to say, and they can essentially cover their tracks too, with it, even though they're going to take the hit from Vince on it most of the time, but at least they go, look, we didn't know they were going to do that. Right, something. And I understand, being a producer, if I got guys going out there and I don't really know them, and or I'm new working with them, I haven't worked with them for years, and like you're going to want to know what they're doing, so that your job is protected in a pretty unstable environment at times. And so I appreciate it, and like I said, there are positives, and when you do that, it actually helps you remember the match more. And I used to have to do that when I worked Cena and Punk a lot. They would because I was the new guy, I would have to give it to Hayes and them. But also, though, it was good practice to do that, because it really, you're going out there in a very key position, and it shows them that, when you're giving them the match. And like, Hayes would walk away from you. He get 20 things going on, or he's writing, but he ain't listening. And like, you have to repeat yourself, and like, so you really have to know the match. And like, I always liked, because I have pretty good memory on things, and was always able to give them the match, no matter when. If Hayes and have to come back 20 minutes later, where do we pick up? Yep, boom, this, bam, bam, bam. So a lot of things are talked about and planned specifically for TV and pay-per-views, for that reasoning, and for camera shots. For live events, that's not as important. and you can have a little more fun. And this is what we did was, but not all the time. You would essentially, so you would work with guys. Stuff was planned out pretty well. There's stuff in there not planned, not as much as TV, but until you get comfortable working with guys, and then you get certain things down, and you kind of just understand their move set and different things, and you get enough repetitions with each other, you can go on the fly quite a bit more in on the fly and safely with that, because too on and working on the fly, things can get more hectic and chaotic at times too. And if especially specifically when you want to do complicated spots, which usually typically, unless you know the spot from doing it over and over, and have can go spot C, whatever the hell it is, you have a name for it when you're out there, and you can boom and you know to go to it, right? So that's where stuff like that, when you work with guys, you kind of get that kind of stuff where then you can kind of call spots that you have worked that you just remember by heart from doing them so much with guys. And so technically you're then calling it in the ring, but you've worked together so much. You see what I'm saying? To where it's easier. Whereas if you just take two guys most of the time and go, and we used to have to do this in developmental, and WWE does it at tryouts for guys, and they go, just work. And you're not going to be doing as much crazy spots that you would do if you talked with somebody and worked with somebody and or rehearsed it and understood how to do it, right? You keep it more basic, and you do that for multiple reasons. One, it's really difficult to talk spots that you don't explaining it word for word unless you can condense it down into a word or two with that, right? And also for your safety, and that it's just, which is why a lot of old school stuff was I like watching it more though, but it's more basic, but there's a more of a sense of realism in there too, because it's a really truly act and react response, which is always, that's up in Gorilla, act and react, intensity, act and react. And I always reminded myself of that, because in that, when if something falls off track or goes off track, something messes up, you just got to know to act and react. And that's why I always say, like, if somebody, when you're out there and something goes wrong and you take a bump and you weren't supposed to, or like, sell it. If you mess up something, and just say the Shane McMahon thing where unfortunately with his quad, right? But just say for whatever reason, just something happened, his leg buckled, but he was fine, but he stumbled and fell over, right? But he was fine. That's the kind of thing where you got to, like, and you would, like, okay, just go to selling your leg for a bit. Let the guy try to start getting on it and figure out a way to come out of it. Maybe you're still selling it and limping a bit, but you're acknowledging it. You're not ignoring what just happened, the real moment that happened. And that's what being a true professional, I think, that a lot of guys can do spots and memorize things, but they don't have the act and react on the fly skills to keep going, to not open the curtain to let people see, because people don't know what's supposed to happen or not happen out there. So if you can keep working at all times. So it's I'm not one of those guys though that are going to tell, oh, we called everything on the fly, and nope. And we find out, I think too, that's where you find out the guys we grew up watching, and like the people would come down and talk to us in developmental. It was almost like when I remember when I was in developmental, we used to think like everybody just like never saw each other, and like they just showed up to the arena and went out there and wrestled. I think that went on to a degree at certain times, but things were at a much more basic level of not, and they had to be because of that style with it. But there's a skill in doing that, and it can get lost as time goes on if you don't do it at all. But I think the best wrestling is a combination of both, and I think mapping things out to a good degree, but then filling in the blanks, and again having the improv skills of, if something is going on out there, that maybe in recognizing it and being able to adjust a bit, or if something messes up, being able to acknowledge it and embrace it, and not worry about just going right to the next spot right away. You might cut out a couple little things to include that in, to then transition into a better smooth transition to a better spot to get it back on track. You see what I'm saying? So it was, but it was a lot of stuff was called, but still stuff on the fly with guys on live events and different things um, that were really enjoyable, and it can be more exciting. But I understand why it needs to be done, and it's for television and different things, and you know, going through your questions here. Thank you for joining the Ryback Show. We've got another super chat here. Gabby Hirolu, thank you very much. What wrestlers from the 90s would you like to face? That's that's a pretty broad question. Would I have liked to have faced? Because I don't think there's any. The only guy that I think is a possibility. Who are the only guys that are active wrestlers right now from the 90s? Jericho, Billy Gunn, Sting, Jeff Jarrett. Oh, I've wrestled Jericho before, worked him quite a bit, but all those guys would be great in today's day and age. Still, they're still going, which is truly a unbelievable feat in itself, for pro wrestling. Yes, good old Deep South wrestling. I don't think a lot of people, and this is, Bill DeMott always said and I knew Bill, and Bill would be very kind to me outside, away from wrestling, and which is why I saw a different side of him outside of the training side. But make no mistakes about it, and he is the toughest trainer I have ever had my entire life. And nothing was as hard as Deep South wrestling. And I'm very proud that I never quit and I never gave up. And I had a pretty rough start of getting into the business, and that a lot of guys, they would try to run into the ground for a brief period of time to see if they wanted it. We did the whole tough enough thing, and then I had it very tough, and rightfully so. I guess everyone had it tough there with that. I had it pretty bad, and I would be used as an example on things and but it created a mental toughness. I don't think it was necessary. I don't regret any of it. No, I would never want to do it ever again. But it hindered in other areas that took a little bit of time, because I've talked about that to a degree. But it really, once I got away from there and then got rehired, got to OVW with Al, and was really grateful for that, and nothing but great things with that and Al, and so many of the things he taught ended up helping me. And still to this day, I just agree with any of his philosophies, the majority of them, if not damn near all. I've never heard anything him talk about where I go, it's usually like, from me and being in the business and knowing, I was like, man, this man spoke the truth. It helped a lot of people in a lot of ways with it. But I was, once I got rehired after getting away with everything, and got my head on straight and my mindset back, and was able to really take that experience and let it fuel me into my success. So very grateful for it. I do 1 24-hour fast per week. I'm looking looking at your questions here. I don't know who we've got another super chat coming up. Super chat, the Wrath of Ryan, thank you very much. A little coffee break for the big guy. I saw the video you were in on Eric Konevsky's channel at WrestleCon. That was a great laugh. You guys would be a hell of a tag team. Thank you very much. Yeah, so you guys, that everyone can go. That guy is. I'll put that up on the screen. If you type that guy's name, Eric Konevsky, and go to his channel on YouTube. I saw the video he posted, and he the jacked guy. I didn't know who he was. I saw him walking around. I think I was wearing the white jacket. That was day one of WrestleCon, and he had they had the guy with the camera, and usually people like, and I've seen these videos time and time again of different people that will, you know, oftentimes when people are doing that, it could be pretty bad in the sense of they're usually like trying to get people or like just try to get them to talk about things or different ones. So he wasn't bad at all though, and I could see that pretty quick. He was over there a long time. That was edited down pretty heavily, but I didn't know. One, I didn't recognize him with because he did something with one of these other guys that, and he was on. I had never met him before though, but he with that Cassidy Campbell guy. He'd been on the podcast a long time ago. He did some skits with him as his bodyguard thing, and I think I mentioned something we were talking about, and I mentioned like the big guy on the thing, and that's who we played. He was this big jacked guy, and but he introduced himself to me as somebody else, and he was playing somebody. I guess he was playing a role when he introduced himself to me at WrestleCon that I have no, but I didn't know who it was. So I just thought, like, if you in wrestling or know that you meet a wide range of wrestling fans, and we were talking, and he was talking about how he the bullying segments really he didn't like them with it, and when I bullied people with it, but it didn't. I didn't know for the longest time, or I shouldn't say the longest time. I didn't know if he was like just a really diehard wrestling fan and kind of, this jacked up guy that loves wrestling and really loves wrestling, or was he kind of doing like playing a part, which he was playing a part, it turned out with it, but I didn't know the part he was playing. So like I would have no way of knowing that was really going on. But it was all, yeah, it was fun. And he was very nice. And then he told me, he goes, "Oh no, this is just I have a channel. I do things I like. I guess I don't know if it was prank, and I think the video of this trolling wrestlers at WrestleCon, but it wasn't like I just talked to him. I just acted how I talk to people all the time and with it, but it was it was a good little deal. It's an entertaining video. I didn't know he was going up to all the other people and doing that. A lot of people will get really agitated with that though, in the sense of it, depending on what you're doing, and because you got to too. A lot of people will try to they try to get content of you to make money off of you without your consent, or you know what I mean, in the sense of, or at your expense, and you're in a position, because if you notice, like if you go click on the link and go look at the comments, most of the people, what I saw there, because I act just normal, but they will, oh, I bet Ryback's a Karen, this or that. Like instantly, people already just coming up with judgments and conclusions that are from not even watching the video or not knowing anything, not knowing you or anything, but they believe fake articles they read or whatever. Like I don't, whatever with it. But oftentimes, like people, like if that guy were to like be doing like instigating me and saying things, but he edits that out, and then like I say, "F off, get out of here," and that's what they end up showing. People then judge you off your reaction without knowing the facts, that you're actually doing the right thing, getting this guy out of there who's annoying people, not him, but people do this, and that, or they come up and they don't, you know for whatever reasons, with what they're trying to get for their channel. There's a lot of them too. They go, like I think they do like bodybuilders and the bodybuilding conventions, or the people, the fake natties out there, the people that do that whole deal, or but they don't talk about their drug use at all, and they'll try to get them in like question them to get videos on them, and like it's just a different. I I'm not a fan in general of people that try to get content without getting it approved. I think it's very disrespectful on that for the most part with things. His was harmless though, and it didn't bother. Like I clearly saw the guy recording. I saw them standing over there with it, and but it wasn't like there was nothing negative about it. Like he wasn't trying to. Like I thought, like that was as harmless as it could be as far as doing that kind of stuff. But it isn't. That kind of content in general is why it's frowned upon by people that with that, because like in that, like I could tell you that clip was heavily edited still. He was over there with me forever recording and talking, and they get certain things, and it's people like that. Other people can get content like that and then edit like your reactions to things on like, and with a different sound to like get people to give you a negative reaction. It's really crazy how that can work with things and whatnot. But that was an entertaining one with it. But I could see like Billy Gunn. Billy Gunn's one of the nicest guys in the world, but he was probably agitated because nobody asked him for like you don't come there and like, hey, is it all right if we record and I'm gonna do a little skit and if, you could just play along. Like, that would be my opinion. If you're gonna do that kind of stuff, that's the way to do it, because it will actually make better the guy. If the guy wants to do it, he'll be more engaging with it anyways, rather than trying to quote unquote get people. Because I feel like that's what a lot of that stuff does, and it's just not a fan of it personally. But that was a fun video. I watched it though. Yeah, the deep fake apps as well, and you see that too, and on TikTok and Instagram, and people have done it, and they do it like with the voices of the talent, and they're like they'll get the person with the deep fake, and then with they're able to replicate their voice with them talking, and it's distinguishable enough where you could tell it's not real. It's very close though with it, and it's only going to keep getting better. That's where it's scary, that kind of stuff, because you see the type of world we live in, where all the people that aren't doing what they then do is they try to get others and to drag others down. And it's one thing when you're getting people that are doing things to hurt others, that are inflicting pain, or doing something illegal, right? Where you're not putting that kind of content, but where people go after them and whatnot. But like these sorts of things where people put like lies, and I've dealt with this, and from the fake articles and the fake things, and then people form real opinions on fake things, and then with it, and it's a wild thing to have to live through with it. But you get immune to it at a point, and you just got to stay convicted and strong in knowing the truth and your truth. And but that stuff, you see like the world we live in with people, and young people that are very heavily influenced, that just don't know, that don't have life experience, and have been raised on social media. The bar has been set lower every generation, I feel like, with the more distractions we have. And that's not for everybody, but for the masses, it really is really heavily influential on that. And they just process things in a different way, and they look at things, and you know and they form conclusions, and they don't have a great family structure, and they don't know how to behave, and they go and they say the worst of things on this. And you've just got to try to stay away from it as much as possible, and just keep doing the work and not getting caught up. But those deep fakes and that AI can really, it's, I mean, I think you can see the direction that can go if you can't distinguish what's real and what's fake anymore. Where then people, it's like if somebody makes a video of Donald Trump saying something, that and they're able to coordinate it to where he had a conversation and said horrible things to someone, and for whatever reason, and it was at a time and place where he can't verify where he was, just something random, right? Where people are like, where then it did happen. So then where it's like you have to then defend yourself now against this fake stuff at all times. And where were you? And but even then there's going to be people that just want to believe it because they just want to hate, right? So I really believe though our best thing is using this stuff in sparingly, and living in the real world as much as possible, and trying not to form opinions as much as possible with stuff we see online, unless we have the full context and really fully understand it, which most of the time we never will. And a lot of times what people are posting, they're just trying to push what they believe out to others, and they'll construct it to fit their narrative and vision on how it can be perceived. And that's a dangerous thing as well. But it's where self-awareness and what I'm talking about, you have to be able to stop and recognize this at all things that we see, and really take a step back and not just go all in on something right off the bat because we want to think it or want to believe it's real. We're going to go ahead and knock, knock, knock. Little Gabby, 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 goo. Gabby got shell shocked out of Rybackville. Bye, Gabby. Bye, Gabs. Ciao. Deuces. Is that what you say, Gabs? Deuces. Peace out. Hasta luego. Adios, amiga. I said goodbye there multiple ways. Very. Gabby's out, guys. Don't worry. Gabby will be back. Gabby will be back, I'm sure, under a new account. Yeah, anyone notice what's her name? The woman that would come in, was it Mandy Castillo? Mandy has not been seen since the episode of inviting her in. I don't know if anybody is which typically I've never met a real person that's got upset over if you question if they're real. Usually they will want to verify they're real. Like, yeah, I'm real. When do you want to? Anyone who doesn't want to verify they're real, that instantly is a major red flag. I appreciate wanting to see me back wrestling. I don't know what to tell you other than I'm doing everything in my power, and I think it will be worth it. Speaking from how I truly genuinely feel, and I think it will allow for a very special moment. Hopefully. Do I acknowledge the tribal chief Roman Reigns? Brother, do you know how many times I've shell shocked the tribal thief? Huh? I'm asking you, like, go back. I've shell shocked him. I mean, I don't know if it's 30, 40, 50 times. He's taken some shell shocks from the big guy. Oh man. And now I know you're not, we're going back, but that's all I can go by of what I've done, and now I'm feeling better than ever. So what am I going to do feeling better than ever? We'll have to wait and see. Acknowledge me as your primal beef. That is what I ask of you here. And I said it on the feeding time video. I'm not the head of the table. I manufacture the tables. He ain't eating without the big guy. You know what I mean? So let's take a step back there. Thank you. Somebody says, dude, you are manhandling Big Show and John Cena. It's physical acting. I'm not like, I am very strong though. They are very strong as well. There's a lot of you, I feel like, that watch wrestling though, and you know it's physical acting. But like you like when somebody's being used, like if I'm manhandling Big Show and John Cena, you want to believe what you want to believe, and then it's like your wrestling's real right there. And then like when I'm like getting beat up, you're like, yeah, now he's letting him get beat up. He's letting him. Like never in your mind does it maybe let you think maybe they're letting me beat them up. It goes both ways, guys. I try, some of you though, no, wrestling's only real when Ryback's kicking ass. Other than that stuff is fake. Oh man. Good to see all of you guys. Hello. Hey, hello, Matthew. Welcome to the Ryback Show. I don't know what your deal is. I hope everything's going well, Matthew. I don't know if I care enough of what you think to have a conversation with you on the Ryback Show. I will say, talk about last night on Raw, the Bobby Lashley Bronson Reed program. I think that's telling that we're seeing. So Bobby looks like they're going to go into a program with those two, probably with a match leading up to WrestleMania Backlash. I'm going to share my thoughts on what I saw last night. I don't know what. So I would take the Bray Wyatt situation. Clearly, something that Bray, because I was hoping if they were going to do the Bobby Bray thing that it would just pick up after WrestleMania, but that doesn't appear to be the case. I think Bobby, obviously, in being left off of WrestleMania, but winning the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which is still that's good that he won that for him and his character and how well he's been used since being back and having to work his way back up the card since being back. He didn't just come in and get put in the main event. He had to work his way back up in the roles that they gave him, and I'm very happy for him because he's man, he's the real deal. Like he's come a long ways and really just continued to get better. And he's very consistent at staying, and he takes care of himself. And I know what it takes to take care of yourself and the shape that he's in and the dedication it takes. It's a whole other level that not many guys are willing to do. Which it deserves respect, and from the company you protect that people in this day and age with the drug testing, and for guys that can look larger than life, I truly genuinely believe you have to take care of them to a degree on things, and he has been taken care of much better going this time around, and he was I mean taken care of the first time around, but being gone as long as he was and with everything. So he I noticed though it'll be interesting to see if this is going to be a one-off or if they're going to try to get a multi-match pay-per-view program out of this. I don't know. I am curious to see what direction they're going to go. I could tell you, and I could tell you what they're going to. I could tell you because I know how they what they look for and what's going on. Bronson was it appeared, and I don't know if he was sick, and that I try to be understanding of this because I don't know everything and I'm not there. If he had some sort of condition or a health condition going into that, he looked heavily exhausted to me. If you go back and watch where he couldn't even get his hands up, and I've been in the ring with guys that have been so blown they couldn't get their hands up, and they can't breathe. They're just so they're just so out of breath and dead. It's in I've been there when I was younger and learning about conditioning and training and in early years into pro wrestling. And when you get wiped out on purpose in training, and then you got to keep going, it's very difficult. And you just got to, but like you could see at the end of that, when the pull apart, he can't even get his arms up. And Lashley's like trying to do as much as he can, but you need to be going back and forth. There needed to be a reason. The way that looked to me last night when everybody came down was all the refs saved Bronson from Lashley because Bronson couldn't even defend himself on it. And I promise you, Vince and Hunter, but if Vince sees that, that is not going to be taken well, in my opinion. Now, saying that, he could have had something going on. Could have had, and I've had to wrestle where you're sick and you get blown up out there at wrestling with bronchitis. You can't breathe, but you go out and do your best. And so, very possible he just could have had something because, but I don't know, or if he hasn't had longer matches in a while with it. But wrestling Bobby and Bobby's intense and they're two large guys that can they went at a pretty good pace. It could zap you too, but Bobby was still going. If you watch at the end of that, Bobby knows. So that was very telling to me, though, in that. And I if there isn't an underlying issue, they're going to take notice of that and be like, he was completely gassed on it. At least that's what it appeared like watching it, and typically having a pretty good idea when someone is when they can't get their arms up with things. But I enjoyed it still nonetheless. I want to see where it goes and what they do. And uh, are they going to use Bobby to try to elevate Bronson, or is this going to be for Bobby? Kind of like a Brock Omos match where it's getting him experience with a top guy, but the program's still going to be for the top guy, right? And that it just depends on what side of the coin the company is on with that. And they may just want to see how Bronson does with somebody who played the champion and was the champion, right? With it and held other titles and see what kind of program he can have. So this is a big opportunity for him because promo wise and storyline wise with whatever they're given to start building upon his very new character with it. That is much needed. That is what you need to have these programs, and that is part of getting over. And so I'm really curious to see how this plays out on which side of the coin it's going to go. Good to see all of you guys. Welcome to the Ryback Show. Good to see all of you. Matthew, thank you for watching the Ryback Show. I'm not sure. I appreciate you watching the feeding time videos. You said recently there's things said. What recently things said about that don't sit right put me on. I don't know what you're talking about when you say that. Thank you very much for saying my physique is better than Bobby Lashley and Big E. We're all built a little different. I think Bobby has a fantastic physique, as does Big E. Big E has always had a little higher body fat, but Big E is very, very dense. He's a little shorter. Uh, I don't know if he's 2 or 3 inches shorter. Me and Bobby are almost identical height wise. Bobby might have me by a tad on height, like by half an inch or something. If I'm not, Bobby might even have me by, I don't know if is Bobby, he's not, it might half an inch or an inch even on it with it, but I weigh more than Bobby. And right now, my body fat is down. I would say, but we're built different in the sense like my legs are probably much larger than Bobby's. I have massive quads and calves. I always have, which is why my weight is heavier. But Bobby's upper body is ridiculous. His lats and everything, his arms and lats, and look if you see like his back and the way he does pull ups, and he can man at his weight and size, he's very impressive with it with everything. I just people man, I have nothing but respect for people that take care of themselves because it's how I was raised and brought up, and I just truly believe it makes us better if we under because it teaches you a certain level of discipline, and you just have respect for other people that do it the right way and work hard, and like he's I'm telling you, like Bobby Lashley in genetic wise is like the kind of guy like if he wanted to if he wanted to be a bodybuilder, his genetics or he has superior genetics that if he were to take pro bodybuilder drugs, and which would be a horrible thing to go do and not be a great life and just completely against it. He has those kind of genetics to excel at that as well, I feel, but he doesn't have to. He just has an amazing physique and works hard. And I don't know if he does TRT or HRT, in which would be allowed in the WWE program in the normal levels. But like I've said, if you're doing that and not abusing it and you're in the normal, like he just he works really, really hard with everything. Sheamus is another one too. Sheamus is uh, a great physique, and Sheamus is a little taller, 6'4" to 6'5" range, maybe 6'5" with it, but he's in great shape as well. I appreciate all the love and support. Welcome to the Ryback Show. Yeah, in order to look at that diet has to be on track the majority of the time. I appreciate all the support. Welcome to the Ryback Show, guys. Super chats are greatly appreciated. I'm scrolling up looking at your questions right now. Matthew says things have been said that don't sit right. Go ahead and point out what things that don't sit right with you, Matthew. I'm very curious to see your thought process played out in text format. You got to do the work if you want me to bring you on the show and have a conversation with you. We just don't bring any jabroni in off the streets, any meatball off the street. You know what I'm saying? Hey, just drug abusing alcoholic, like comes, hey, I want to be on the show. Hey, let's like, hey, we got to get you through a few hoops first before do a little filtering before we bring you on, Matthew. We don't know what kind of shenanigans you could be up to. Somebody says my wrestling moves are similar to the Animal Batista. Great guy, great wrestler. I enjoyed Batista very much. Nothing but love and respect for Batista. I'm very glad he got to go out and have his last match at WrestleMania years ago. Ryback versus James Ellsworth. I like James a lot. James is a nice guy. He's been on the show, and wish nothing but the best for James. Braun Strowman also is in very good shape, a great shape, and has significantly leaned up over the years. He's in very, very good shape. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Ryback Show. I will say I saw last night Cody Rhodes promo asking or wanting a match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania Backlash. So I'm going to be I'm very invested to see where this angle goes and how it plays, and particularly Cody. What the I'm really curious into the build up for this and the match itself. And this is going to be very, very important uh, moving forward for Cody Rhodes and his character and the storyline and what direction this is going to go. And this story could be told longer. This could be, and Cody will find a way to make anything a positive within the guidelines of what is given. I loved Cody's promo, and I really feel from knowing Cody prior and seeing him transform into the Cody Rhodes he is now early on in that development and evolution of him and into everything he has become is his physique has improved and he put on a little bit of weight, good weight too, where I feel like he's in the best shape he's been in overall. And he has his experience level, but he's more believable on it when his promos like last night was very it was more believable and he speaks with more passion and intensity now than he did previously. And he always was good at it. He always was great at it. But it is more. It is evolved and it is more. It is becoming more main eventish. His whole presentation with it, and which was very important for him because that was always probably one of the question marks I think with it, and it was for many talent. Like, can they look the part? Can they And he has been able to transform and to grow into that role very well. But this is a task. There's not very many guys in today in wrestling that can be paired up with Brock Lesnar and have a believable match. And where it is wholly accepted, and there's a political power and spots, and you have to be at a certain level to be in there with him, or you have to have a certain look, or So I'm really heavily invested in this, and it could go if Cody gets beat by Brock, and like I've said, it could be a long term storyline of getting so close and in the from a storyline perspective failing and then losing to Brock and then really failing and getting further away to where that buildup then has to start again to a degree if the goal is to get him back to eventually win the title, which would be then an amazing long-term storyline that I am all for if that is truly the intention. My thing is what I pointed out before is, and with Cody, what are the odds of getting everything at WrestleMania? That is the place to finish the story. And the story had been told long enough to where it would have been the moment, right? And I think people were ready to accept it and to not have that be the way it goes. And there's so many other factors now that get figured in that have to go right. You start getting further away from that objective from a storyline perspective, and that's where I want to see where this is going to go. Or is it that gets really close? If he defeats Brock, my thing is, where does Cody go from defeating Brock? Logically, it would say he goes back to Roman, but do they want it to Cody to beat Roman? Is it at SummerSlam? If it is, they could time this out probably with Brock and maybe in something else, or they could make this work to where the story then gets completed at SummerSlam, which it depends what they want. But if the thing is to keep Roman going, or if it's for Solo or for Jay, nobody really knows. And I think that it could be for somebody completely random that no one's even not even on the radar. We don't know with it. So that's why this is so intriguing to me. The storyline I don't see Brock losing. I don't want to see Cody lose, knowing Cody, and I want to see him, but then I want to see that match. I want to see how believable is it with Cody in there with Brock, because Brock is looking like a monster again. Legitimately looks like he put on like 15, 20 pounds from like a month ago, just like when he was like, just go, Jesus, like blew up. Like he was in there with Cody too, and you just see the size comparison, and it's like, and you know the styles. You're like, well, how's this going to go? How's it going to work? Are we going to see a more intense Cody Rhodes? Are we going to see a more aggressive Cody Rhodes? He has to. He has to adjust his work up now to go in there with Brock, and that's what I want to see. And I think Cody can do it. I really believe he could if he's allowed to go in there and to step it up. So hopefully that's the game plan, and we will be in for a real treat if that's the case. Take a look at your questions here. Matthew says a few things you said about Hunter. Go ahead and type what I said about Hunter, because I'm not even gonna I'm not gonna entertain you if I don't even know what you're talking about. I could already tell. I'm just gonna be quite frank with you. I think you're completely already ridiculous, because I don't think there's anything you could even bring up with Hunter remotely that, from what I know, on or anything I've said that can even be disputed, or I don't think you're worth my time, is what I'm telling you, quite frankly. I'd rather just talk and talk to the people of this show. And you're stuck on the past about stuff for like that. I don't even, you know. Uncle Snizzle, thank you for the super chat. Not sure if this is a good thing or a bad thing. Do you feel anyone lives the character anymore, or has wrestling changed too much? I don't know. And I saw Undertaker talking about this on the Ariel Helwani show, or with him on one of his interviews, about how he stayed in character. I think that it is. I think it's important when you're involved on TV in storylines to keep the storyline intact for the storyline. I don't think you need to be doing anything to disrupt that storyline, and I think you should act accordingly. If say I returned and I'm involved with Orange Cassidy, just off the top, I'm involved in the storyline with Orange Cassidy. I'm doing this show on here, and I'm answering your questions. Anything that revolves around me and him should be kept in character, or I should just stay away from it altogether. If I'm not, either not, don't talk about it, or anything that I talk about with that is going to be in character, which then people have to distinguish when are they working, when are they not working, as far as the show. But it's pretty easy to tell with that. But that would be, I think, that kinds of thing. I don't think like you should be, I should be posting like pictures of me and Orange Cassidy hanging out, smoking weed and drinking White Claws by my pool, going over our next 8 weeks of programming together, and taking pictures to just throw it in people's faces, and him going down my slide with his hands in his pockets, and me screaming, "Feed me more," drunk in the backyard. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, so honoring storylines while the storylines are going on is important. Not taking photos to each other, not showing each other talking and coordinating, right? Keeping the curtain closed as far as that goes. Not working a program, then going and doing a Jericho podcast during the program, and me breaking down what I was going through the night before when I was, you know what I mean? That is where I think it is. I think, yeah. Or is there a market for people that want to hear that? Yeah. I think, though, as performers, though, to protect that as much as possible in the moment, and do it after. Talk about when everything's done and give it a little time. The more time, the better, right? The more time that goes by before we talk about what we were going through or doing, or right, with things. And I think like people like the Undertaker were able to protect it for so long without social media, and in different characters. And I played characters when I was a Terminator Ryback, where I would get ready and have my red eye in before I got to the arena, and I would park away where people wouldn't see me driving the car, and I'd come walking so the people that were waiting outside saw me walking in character with, like, I'd have a bag, and that was it. But like, and I would act as the Terminator Ryback for what I was doing for the show, because I wanted to try to make sure those people understood that that's how I was, even though, and like, it's just another step. And I've done it, and I did it when I was Skip Sheffield. I'd act like Skip Sheffield when I'm with the fans and talk. I wouldn't just talk normal. I would try to be in character for that. But that's why getting a character, though, that is true to your real personality, where this is where I feel blessed as hell to be able to be me, in the sense of that whole Feed Me More Hungry. I feel like it's very relatable. It's very understanding. It's a guy who's always hungry for more competition, just more everything in life, who just intense powerhouse, like, in just, I feel like it's very easy to understand and grasp. And in that, there's different layers with that, and the entertainment and the comedy, right? With that. But whereas if you're playing like The Undertaker, and then unless The Undertaker's doing his podcast as The Undertaker, which is you could do that in today's day and age. You could build your stuff around your character if you're allowed, which is something that would be a good idea in that. But when you're playing a character that's really far away from your real personality, then it could be, so, and today too, there's not a lot of people playing like that are over the top gimmicks as much as there used to be either, right? And that's why, but it's just, it depends. Times have changed, and that stuff. Wrestling wasn't like red hot when there were a lot of gimmicky things either with that. And so I do think having people that are believable characters, and but like I'm a like Bray Wyatt, the Fiend. That's where things can be difficult when you're a character. When he was the Fiend, to then going and doing stuff as Bray Wyatt, or even though he had the character, and they did it really well, where he was Bray Wyatt in the different versions, right? In the comedy skits and the entertainment skits, and then the Fiend when the time called for it. But which is smart, because then he could do more stuff, at least, to where he wasn't always the Fiend 24/7. But it can, when you play a character that can be a stretch from reality, it of course, this day and age, it is way harder to protect that, other than you can just, my thing is just protect the storyline that you're in as much as possible. And then the rest of the stuff, if you have to do interviews, it's like, at least if you can keep a portion of your stuff in character to keep people buying into the program at the time. But times change, everything evolves, man. It's not, nothing will ever stay the same. Wrestling will be, who knows where wrestling will be in the next 10, 15, 20, 30 years, 40 years. Who knows if we're all going to be around? Like, who knows what direction things are going to go, and the style, and things can only go a certain way for so long too. But I don't know. Good to see all of you. Hey, Matthew, let me go ahead and let me block you and shell shock you out of Rybackville. See you later, buddy. Matthew has it all figured out. Matthew, I promise you, I'm telling you, you don't know anything. You don't know anything is probably about a lot of things, but certainly about me or my life or anything going on. And it does not serve anyone or anything or myself to try to entertain people that, like you, that are so caught up in lies and just living in a false reality. I didn't know. Rebecca says, "Hey, Rebecca. Hey, big guy. Do you think Charlotte should stop doing the backpack stunner? I remember you said before it gave you quite a bit of back pain. I know. So I remember I was doing it, and she wasn't even on TV yet, and actually did it on a live event. And I don't know if somebody told her to stop. It was a signature move. I would do it on live events a lot for a near fall with it, and it was my finisher is Skip Sheffield. She should 1000% stop doing it if she cares about her back at all. It's not worth it. I will say my disc though it sped up the process of my disc degenerating, but my back was from my perineal nerve in my leg that ran into my disc in my back. That was why my disc were degenerating at a rapid rate because of the botched ankle surgery from WWE when I was in Nexus, and which went unnoticed by everyone and was being covered up with drugs, uh, which is in but that if she keeps wrestling and doing that consistently, not saying she's going to have what I had because I had a pre-existing condition. That move sped that process up though significantly, I believe, with because it is, and I was again. I'm heavier and with heavy wrestling the men, much more weight. And I would come down. The other guy, when it hit the ground, I would come down with all the weight on me on it and would take all of it, just hundreds of pounds of coming. Not, and she's still dealing with probably a couple 100 pounds, 100 something pounds, depending on who she does it to. You know, it's a lot. It's if it's done like every once in a blue moon, is it the end of the world? Probably not. But you start getting what happens was you work consistently and you get to great reaction and you're like, let's plug it in, and you're feeling good. And then it's just all of a sudden you wake up and you start having tightness and spasms and pain, and like it's too late once that hits. So it's like hopefully she just uses it sparingly if she continues to use it. Good to see all of you. Yeah, any moves that where you're landing on your ass in the ring compresses the disc in your back immensely. The energy only has one direction to go on that and into your spine when you're sitting on that, and everything just becomes condensed. And that's why, like Hogan with the leg drop, that it just that's why he had all the back and hip things. That I guarantee you that move played a very big part in all of that. And I know Austin had issues with the stunner over doing it so much, and it can it's a rough thing. But you think I think we all think that we can, oh, we'll be fine, and it's one of those moves. It's just simple physics of the energy, and it is instant compression, and you do that over and over and over again, you know. But I've got my health back with the stem cells, and that's something. If the talent are able to get stem cells once a year, every couple of years, go in and get a big round of treatment. Very, very good for preventative measures, and probably something that I will continue to do once I make the next step. Yeah, lucha libre memes. Me and my buddy Mark read the dirt sheets. We know everything. Matthew. That's usually the way it works. They usually will tell the talent who actually know like the real deal and lived it what's going on, or they will usually inform us of the truth and what is actually going on, because they've read not only one dirt sheets, they've read multiple dirt sheets and have multiple expert opinion takes on and infused with their opinion on the matter. Just a very, very thorough understanding. I love that there's a guy named Matthew in April of 2023 who is obsessed with whatever I said about Hunter. That is what Matthew is thinking about on this fine day. Is like, God, Ryback burned all his bridges with what he said. Was it the disappointment line? That was the only thing that I can even remotely, and it was wishing him well and getting better. And it was a very heartfelt, honest reaction on that. And with a company that is suppressing my social media, and it has all been warranted with that. And I've dealt with them and had conversations with them, and there's things going on that Matthew that are just way, way, way above your pay scale or your level of understanding. I don't know who would win in an MMA fight, but between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. I don't know, nor do I at this point. Like, I don't care to think about it. Like, I'm not. I think they're both awesome. Yes, Matt Hardy's another one from doing the leg drop and off the top rope. Really bad hip and probably back issues with that, and he's a trooper, man, and still going. But it's this is where the comes, and unfortunately for a lot of guys, with when the damage is done, if they're not using stem cells to and they're not able to regenerate like I was able to their disc and regrow them because I got mine just in time, where there was still enough disc space matter left to regrow. Then once the breakdown happens and you're too broken down, then it's just a really steep decline as you get every year of life. You get older, and the less active you can become because you can't move. And that's why I feel like I was so blessed, and I invested in my longevity in my prime in order to extend my prime or have an opportunity to extend my prime, even though I missed out on those years. Those years were gone already. So I could have extended it a little longer before I would have had to have tapped out, but then it would have been 5 disc fusion shoulder replacement, done, and then the prime is done forever, no chance of ever. But whereas I just invested in getting better somehow, even though it never had been done, I didn't have anybody to go off of, just the information I gathered and a stubborn, strong, hungry mindset of no, this is going to be a very good thing for me, and it has been. So, but it's because you see that too with talent, and as they get older, and they get really difficult, and that other health things arise, and it's a very unfortunate thing that happens. It's the men and women that dedicate themselves, and you never try to be judgmental of like people like with the alcohol or the drug abuse, and because usually it comes from pain, one way or the other, mental or physical. Good to see all of you. Welcome to the Ryback Show. Welcome from Italy. We have an Italian fan here. Thank you very much. Tim T, good to see you. Let me see where your super chat went. It's beautiful in Vegas too. It's actually very warming up rapidly. I probably don't even need to be wearing my Feed Me More Nutrition windbreaker hoodie, but it's we're getting close to having to put the air on moving forward, which I wasn't expecting to have to do yet. There's usually a period where you could kind of milk not having to turn AC or heat on, where the weather's just really great in Vegas, where it's like perfect for like a month. It's kind of almost bypassed that. It went from freezing last week to 90 degrees the last few days. Not even kidding. 90 degrees temperature reading, 88, 90. I'm like, this is wild. I'm not looking forward. I love the heat to a degree, but the Vegas heat, man, as long as it stays, like if it stays 105, 107, it's hot as hell. But that is about as hot as I ever want it to get. And I usually like it if it's high 90s, mid 90s, low 90s. That's usually, that's great with it. But when it gets to 115, 116, 117, oh, it is. And you just hear that air just crank it on all day. And you just know that air bill with everything going on. That bill's cranking, but you can't do anything about it. It's just like that heat, man. No joke. When you get to that hot, it is. But I've lived here my whole life for the most part. So good to see all of you. Welcome to the Ryback Show. I loved Santino's Cobra finisher. Santino's one of my favorite people. Great guy, just great human being, just entertaining as can be. One of the my opinion, I think he's the greatest comedy wrestler of all time. I really and I don't and I, even to categorize him, he's a great wrestler, man. He understood his character and his role, and he got massively over. He got as loud of reactions as anyone for a good portion of time, and always got great reactions when he was used. And he was always a monitor sellout when he would be on his live events, and his matches were so damn funny and entertaining. Everybody would watch around the monitors in the back, because you know that you're in for to hear the live crowd lose their shit, and for us in the back to be just laughing our asses off. Man, I wish you people like I respect and love all styles of pro wrestling, and like he man is he'll be in the Hall of Fame. Easy Hall of Famer. He's the greatest comedic wrestler I've ever been around or seen. I think is a fair statement to say. In my opinion, of maybe other people that have worked in other periods prior, and he's at least he's in that. He's very good at what he does, and he could have played a lot of other roles too, but he excelled at that. I don't know if a lot of people that would have made that what he made that. Let me see here. Jose and Santiago, the Pokemon Masters. Thank you very much for the kind words, and I'm very glad that you've been able to move past having a lot of anger and resentment and living a lot more positive, loving life. That is very, very good to hear. And I think a lot of people too, to touch on that, a lot of people don't understand that having a positive mindset. I think they think that it's like it's like this positive thing 24/7, or that you're not allowed to cuss. I've seen this from people that think if you're positive, you don't cuss. And that people that cuss, go watch Tony Robbins, one of the most positive human beings on the planet, cusses at his seminars routinely with it. So that's throw that out the window. It's all just people have weird perceptions of things. Of like people think being positive means you let people step and walk all over you. You don't stand up for yourself. Couldn't be any further from the truth. Having a positive mindset, being a positive person, being a real with it is finding ways to turn negatives into positives, and having a positive mindset. And go, everything that happens is for our favor and benefit. I routinely remind myself of this, and I'm able to things that are going on, because we're all human. We all have difficulties, have struggles, have our own problems, our own fights, right? Our own journey with it. So it's able to take this BS of life and turn things and use it towards forward positive momentum. It is fast or slow as it takes. And that is what being, to me, having a positive mindset, and to many others with it, that sometimes people don't understand, and they think that like that you're not allowed to have anger or moments of negativity. The key is when you do it is you do it, and then you get back on track, and you keep moving forward, and you keep going, and you keep being honest, you keep being real with it. And I'm very happy you've been able to make those adjustments, and you just go one day at a time. Marty says, "How do you keep your body fat so low with these food videos?" These food videos. I'm about your age, and it's brutal to eat cheat meals for my diet and a huge setback. I don't. So there's so many factors that you're like. One, it's one meal out of the week. If you're my thing is, if you're having one cheat meal, like, and I'm not doing like massive amounts of food specifically for me and my calorie intake that I need per day, anyways, with it. But one, you got to factor in training and cardio and conditioning in the level that I do, that sauna work, cold tub work during the week, all these things that burn calories that I do routinely. With that, I burn a massive amount of calories. Like, I train still as if I'm top WWE. I'm still not have not let myself go, and I've stayed intact and do all the things. So I still burn a massive amount of calories with that. Where those food videos, I think that is oftentimes a big flaw with people that see those, and it's one video a week. But I think you guys look at things sometimes and look and go, "Oh my God, all he does is eat cheat meals." Do one cheat meal a week. That's so minuscule in the grand scheme of things. Now it's different if I was doing like 20 or 30 or 40,000 calorie cheat meals and like completely doing significant damage. I do a meal, a burger or two burgers, what I would eat on a thing for a cheat meal, anyways, if I was recording it or not. Thing of fries or something, it's a meal, and maybe every once in a blue moon I get a shake, very rarely, but I've gotten it on a few of them with it. And I'm training 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours for the day, doing the sauna for 30, 40, 60 minutes on different days. Oftentimes the day I do those videos, I have more sodium. So I do the sauna to make sure to sweat extra sodium out. I fast for 24 hours after my high carb day. I only do one high carb day during the week. The rest are low carb days. A couple of those no carb days with that on top. So you got to be looking 280 to 90 pounds any given time, depending on what direction I'm going. I'm leaning down. So I've been staying closer to the 280 range as I'm dropping my body fat more and more. You know, there, there's all my meals for the week. 99% of my meals are just spot on nutrition to feed myself. And then I'm doing that. You know what I mean? They get to it. There's no way if you're just having a cheat meal like I'm having, and you're saying it's a huge setback, you have multiple other way more serious things going on that you're not addressing, where that meal should not be doing that to you, to being such a huge setback with it. You're not dieting as hard as you need to be dieting, or you're not as active as you need or could be in order to where you are allowed that cheat meal. Or your idea of cheating is more you're doing it all day and having more, right? Or you have other things. Maybe your metabolism is slower. There's other factors with it, but you got to take into account everything that is going on. I laugh at it always too. I read a comment from somebody. They're like, "You're going to be like this Cali muscle guy. You're going to have a heart attack," because I had chicken nuggets for my cheat meal for the week. And then I'm just like, they completely out of there. Just the comparison couldn't be any further off with what they were trying to even imply or anything. With just tells me they don't know anything about me with that. But there's just the video is the one cheat meal for the week. This isn't stuff that's being eaten all the time and being consumed off camera. All of you guys, most people are eating this stuff off camera all the time with it. And then they'll look into, but you eat it on camera and you do it once a week. And then everybody, there's always going to be a crowd that has something to say no matter what we do. Whether I'm doing healthy food, man, oh, you do the healthy part, so poor. Man, go live a little. It doesn't matter. There's always going to be a different group with what we do, with how people, you know what I mean? With the negativity they focus on with it. But I would say make some adjustments on some other things if your cheat meal is influencing having that big of a setback on you. That would be the best thing I could say. Yeah, you can diet more. Yeah, and you talk about, yeah, so that's again, and I'm not a fan of using age as an excuse either. Like I don't even think about my age. I don't ever when I see people too, and on social media, and I just get away from it when they're like talking about their age all the time, and they look great, and a lot of women do it like that are in great shape, and they're 45 or 46 or 47 or 48, but they're constantly reminding people of their age. I don't know why they feel the need to with it, but they don't even look their age. They look younger. They look amazing, but they're constantly like infatuated with their age. Where I don't think about it. I never have. I never once said, "Oh, I'm in my 20s. I'm better than you. I'm in my 30s. I'm better than you. I'm in my 40s. I'm better than you." Like I don't. I just go, but don't. I don't think about it at all. I've never let my injuries like, oh, it's because of my age. No, it's because of the things that happen with it. And it's. I think that having that mindset allows you not to become a victim of the age thing. But I will say you do have to make adjustments that you say if you eat a certain way in your 20s and in your 30s but your physique has started and you're eating the same exact way and you're noticing more negative things, then clearly there might be some things that have changed in your metabolism. Hormone levels are two things. One, thyroid. Coconut oil would fix that, 2 to 3 tablespoons a day most likely. Keep your thyroid functioning optimally like it was when you were younger. And the other thing is it possibly looking into going on TRT, getting your testosterone levels checked. Those decline with age naturally. Those come down. Building muscle becomes more difficult. Storing body fat becomes much easier. With that, energy levels go down. Activity level goes down as energy levels come down. But you get your testosterone levels to a very happy, normal place that we had when we were in our youth. Everything can come back to normal if activity resumes and training resumes, and then that muscle building process can be stimulated and our metabolism is more efficient, right? So that's where you got to fix the core. And that's why I was saying there could be other things and look into it because those are all things you could still control. with it. Get your testosterone levels checked. Try the Big Guy Male Performance Formula. I am telling you, naturally will raise your total and free testosterone levels. A lot of guys, we have so many people that are happy with that product, that individual product. It's helped so many people on it, and it could be a step that you do before or preventing having to go on TRT if you don't want to go that route. Grim Reefer, thank you for the super chat. One of my favorite videos is your Taco Bell versus Del Taco and Burger King versus Taco Bell. Are you going to make any more? Yeah, that can always be something. I could easily do that on one of the videos and do like, another hamburger versus hamburger, taco versus taco, chicken sandwich versus chicken sandwich. I'll have to see what if there's any new things in ones that could be possible to do, like a Popeyes, because Popeyes I think has strawberry biscuits as well. I was even thinking that I go, man, I should probably look into doing a Popeyes video soon on the feeding time. There's actually a new Popeyes not horribly far from where I'm at, so I could actually swing over and not Postmates the stuff either if I happen to do the video when I'm out and go through multiple fast food. There's multiple fast food places where the Popeyes is, and doing a certain chicken sandwich versus a McDonald's chicken sandwich or a Burger King chicken sandwich or something, whatever, those videos always typically did well on the channel. Whenever anything with a versus, people tend to gravitate towards. Yeah, Marty says he's gone on Clomid to combat low T, but have never considered the thyroid. Yeah, and some people react very well to Clomid, and others, I've never personally been a fan of it. I don't like the way it makes me feel, but everyone's specific on that. But if that is working for your low testosterone and you feel great, but coconut MCT medium chain triglyceride oil is 2 to 3 tablespoons a day. I take it in the morning, 2 tablespoons right before I have my eggs in the morning, and vegetables, spinach and things. I make up a big thing, high protein, low carb, no carb meal, very low carbs. Sometimes I'll use a little queso or a little ketchup with it on it. So, but I'll do it with a meal with no carbs, essentially, when I take the fats, the extra fats. Also will improve your energy level significantly. A lot of people like to take that coconut oil with coffee right before you go work out. So the key is, I just like drinking black coffee. The thing is, if you take your servings of coconut oil with no carbs before you work out, you will have even more energy. You will have more sustained energy to work harder at the gym. It is a very real thing, very clean. And you just notice you just have, because your body's using it for fuel. It uses it for fuel very, very efficiently with that. Secret of the pros. ACW Online, thank you for the super chat. Hey, big guy. I'm struggling with my weight. I work out every day, track calories, eat healthy, and still no luck. Any advice? Treadmill for hours? No. So again, we assume it's very easy to fall into routines and to stay in those routines. And if you're struggling with your weight and you're active and working out every day and you track your calories, you're eating healthy, but see, this is where your idea of eating healthy might not be as perfect as it sounds. That's where there's so many different things and there's so many different ways of eating that you have to find the right way for you. And typically, though, and for most people, avoiding processed foods and really controlling our carbohydrates and having carbs and the right carbs at the right time and not combining our carbohydrates and our fats. And nutrient timing is a very real thing, and it doesn't get talked about enough, that oftentimes people knowing when to structure your meals and to eat what with what. So if you have, and I do my low carb days where I have my carbs around 100 grams for a few days a week, and then they trickle down to 60, 80, and then they go down to damn near zero into my high carb day where we're talking 400, 500, 600 grams of carbs, and that fluctuates depending on on how I'm looking and how I'm feeling, and where I kind of see myself, if I think I need a little extra going into that, and whatnot. If I'm feeling a little flat with things and I know to increase that amount, and then I'm going into my fast and then going back onto the diet and then making very small, minute changes. But I use my carbohydrates more than anything for that. So that, but I don't eat my carbohydrates and my fats together outside of, for the most part, of when I'm doing my cheat meal. And that's again, processed foods are masters at combining fats and carbs, two energy sources that compete with each other, that make us store more body fat when we consume them in high amounts, really together. And so when we try to have your first two meals, if you do 4 meals a day, have it where your first 2 meals are your carbohydrate meals and your lower carb meals and your higher fats are later in the day, or vice versa. Structure your days. So I do mine where I have I don't have hardly any carbs in the morning. I do my ISO Hungry plant powered protein shake with peanut butter, natural peanut butter. So protein and fats, very low carbs again. I wait a little bit, then I'll do some beets and celery, very few carbs, but that's just a small amount of carbs before I go train, like 15 grams with celery. It's beets and it's for the nitric oxide and increased endurance, and that's why I do that, because I'm going to go train and do my hard conditioning. But so 15 grams of carbs, that's hardly anything, but I'm consuming it away from when I had my fat still with that. And then I'll do another low carb meal, and then I'll typically have at night, I love air pop popcorn, and I'll do 2 to 3 servings throughout the week. And I usually do 3, then go down to 2. And I have a food scale and I can weigh it out. And I'm actually really good at measuring it out and knowing about when I'm close to that number. But I always have the scale and I have it all set up. And that way I control, and then I take that out the last couple days, the last meal, and it's very low carbs going into that high carb meal. But you got to make adjustments like that and look at what you're eating and the processed foods that you're eating. And then when you get that on track, and it's in the cardio that you're doing, you should never have to do cardio for hours to get in shape. It's one thing if you're doing it and you have a large amount of body fat and you're trying to lose, but you want to always do what you can sustain over time. Going and doing 3-4 hours of cardio every day on top of working out, for most people, cannot be sustained for a long period of time. So then what's going to happen then, if you're not doing that and you only do an hour, then you feel bad about doing an hour, and then you let go on your diet because, oh, I didn't do my 4 hours anyways. You see what I'm saying? It can be very destructive with that. So you should never have to do hours of cardio to keep losing weight if you are making the right adjustments. I'd add in the coconut oil for your thyroid. I'd go get your testosterone levels checked. That's the stuff you've got to, those are the things we have to do. We have to fix the root of the cause. And then we can, because if there's something internally going on, and then it doesn't matter how much you do, the results may never come with it, with what we want, or once with what we once got. So. I've eaten healthy for a large part of my life. I used to eat a lot of junk food too, though, when I was younger, but I was very active. But me and my friends, and so we played video games, but we played whatever season it was, sport wise, basketball, football, baseball. We were outside playing the majority of the time. When our homework was done, it was typically playing outside, sometimes hours on end till dark came. Then we play hide and go seek in the dark a lot of times. I had a great childhood and neighborhood and great group of friends, and all, man, just a beautiful time. But we played games too, and we had video games, nowhere near like the level of how games were, and it was much, I feel, simpler of times. But we'd sit and play the games, but we always were active with it. And I didn't and we'd go, like, we'd ride our bikes, a couple miles to a Del Taco or McDonald's, or a mile and a half, or what, uphill one way and downhill the way back. But we'd ride our bikes to go there to go eat a bunch of junk food, and then we'd come back and we'd play games for a couple hours, and then we'd go outside and play. So like, and I wasn't eating it like all the time, but I would eat it daily for a while and stuff. But my mom was always very health conscious and always made home cooked meals for the most part. And there were nights we had hot dogs and mac and cheese, and because she didn't feel like making, but she made great meals. She was very healthy the majority of the time, and eat my vegetables, and we'd have fruit in the mornings. And then as I got older, we had more processed foods in the house, but still she would cook those meals, and would always, I didn't understand nutrition nowhere near like I understand it now. So a lot of things I just figure out and learn, and with that. And I made the mistake of going to the gym and training hours every day, training every body part every day, because nobody told me not to do that. I thought that's what I had to do. And I was dedicated at a young age, 4-hour days every day. When I was able to take my mom's car, she'd let me use it. I'd go to the gym 4 hours. Not even kidding. 4 hours every single day, train every body part. Hour of abs, 3 hours, everything else, usually 2 hours of weights and then an hour of cardio. But I ate so much junk, but I was always in shape because I worked out so much. And then finally, a guy that in there that was built pretty good, he, as I was getting in a teenager, he told me some things, and I finally started figuring out, I'm doing way too much. I'm overtraining and I'm not eating properly. And I go, whoa, if I actually fuel my body with the right kinds of foods, I could work out less and get better results. So I benefited greatly from doing less, but focusing on the right things. And but we didn't have, didn't have anyone that was able to teach me that, other than doing the work and then having to pull it back. This is why I've never been afraid of work. Like I could, I'll do the extreme with it, but if I could do less and find out how to maximize that, like, that's even better with it. So, Zachariah, thank you very much for the kind words, buddy. I am very grateful for each and every one of you that continue to support and watch, and everything is gonna be all right. I promise. I've not tried the new Domino's loaded tots, but they are on the radar. I actually saw a commercial for those and thought about that, so maybe that could possibly be a possibility for the next feeding time. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's show. Please continue to, if you can, give a listen on the audio on the Ryback Show on any of the podcast platforms, even for just put it on for a couple minutes. Keep raking in those audio listens, and I think we're 80 something on the chart as of this morning. I would like to see how far we could push it this week, and continuing to get the listens on the audio platform, because I stream everywhere. And so our listens get diversified across all the platforms with that, and doing the live show on YouTube and on Twitter and all that. So whereas if we were getting all the actual listens and views, we would be top rated on the actual, if they actually took all platforms into account, which they don't. It's just audio. So let's continue to improve those audios. iTunes reviews are always greatly appreciated. And to show your support, Feed Me More Nutrition, feedmemore.com. We've got all the Ryback merch, different accessories on there, and the best supplements on the planet. The discount codes, the 30% for new customers and 20% for returning customers, are in the description and the comments here on YouTube and on the audio version of the show. Let's have a great day. And until next time, my friends, stay hungry. Feed me more.